Welcome to Conscious Living here at the Specially Produce Network. We are so glad you're here to support your lifestyle with the fastest growing resource for conscious families. So sit back, relax, connect, and enjoy. Hello everyone. Welcome to Conscious Living. We are so excited you're here today at the top end of the new year with clear vision of 2020. I am so excited to share my guest today as we're hosting from Specially Produce Network, the network we love so much and adore so much. They're so how can I say I'm so grateful for Danielle and Roger and everyone here at the team of Specially Produce. And I'd like to introduce our special guest today. Her name is K8 the HeARTist, and we're going to talk today about who am I? Welcome, K8.
Pleasure. I am is growing in my consciousness to be one of the most powerful conversations we can have with ourselves and our being. It's exciting to be with you, to invite others to get into the I am. Who am I? Am I? Who am I? I am.
Exactly. What a great conversation to start with, because I really enjoy this opportunity to say, I'm not sure that we really spend a lot of time or effort or resources or energy about how we describe who am I, right? And when you're creating the world of utopia and you're creating this world where our imagination, our possibilities are limitless, your presence, K8, that brings the art in full form to create these heart conversations is really beautiful, and we so appreciate you coming on board today to really share with us this deeper dive into who am I.
Beautifully said, Ashley. I'm thrilled to be a part of this as well today as we each celebrate the idea that I'm completely in love with the knowing that all is well now and always in being perfectly incomplete. We are always incomplete because our I am, as you just stated, has no limits. Those which we've already realized about ourselves sometimes seem very simple. When someone asks, who are you? That's very broad, right?
It is.
The very notion of the who I am has been diminished to start putting together tasks of who we are.
Right.
That is not the who I am. They are reflections and aspects of how we come into that beingness of the I am presence and get to be in deeper relation with the I am presence that is our gift and our blissful life when we are igniting that fire and being with who I am. And the who I am is the God spark. Ashley, you and I get into many conversations because now we are in the army of I ams that know who we are and are becoming more and more in alignment through that awareness of the gifts that we are so that we can enjoy our most blissful life.
We sure are, and a lot of times we start out as little kids, and we ask ourselves, I don't know, when we're 3, when we're 6, we start new grades in school and different things, right? And new atmospheres, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college. When we start these, we start to ask ourselves, who am I? And a lot of times we look outside of ourselves, don't we? To define who we are. Yeah.
It happens. And in those moments, There's something very funny about what you said, that age range of the 3 to 6 years old. I'm grateful for having had the experience and still in the process, as you are, of being a mom.
Yes.
And this role puts you in place a very intimate relationship and journey with little spiritual beings. And they arrive in full knowingness. We don't perhaps remember that because we've outgrown that knowingness of all that is. And so when they start speaking to us as little beings, it can be somewhat confusing, or we think, oh, what an active imagination. What is that imagination? I question each of us now. It's absolutely, yes, it's your imagination. And through your imagination, all reality truly comes into form for each of us. But the thought of going back to the 3-year-old, I remember distinctly 3-year-olds saying back to me, and I have 3 of them, they're triplets, so it was reinforced and amplified. You're not the boss of me. You're not the boss of me. See, they know at 3 years old that you're not the boss of them, that they're a sovereign being that is here for a divine purpose. And as we move into these systems that have been created to create, in the utopic universe that I live in, we call them sheeparation, right? It aims to streamline and make beings uniform because it's easier to manage people through systems when there's uniformity versus dynamic difference and sovereignty. That because everybody has a different need base, a different desire base, a different talent base. It takes a very strong I am that can lead an army of I ams.
Right. Well, and you brought up a very interesting word too, uniformity. So when we're in uniforms, like in some schools, we're all wearing the same uniform. So what it's really describing, though, is this sense of conformity, right? Inside the uniformity, is we're conforming, or we're suppressed, or compressed, or compromised in our own true spiritual nature, our true expressions of love, and what it is we'd like to create inside of that expression.
Beautifully said. And what you just said, something triggered in my mind, and this is the way that the universe continues to flow with us. Through a conversation, I can hear something and think about it and frame it in my own filter. You saying that in this conversation, I heard something that is now wanting to emerge this way. When we do uniformity, we limit the potential to engage certain aspects and tools. So if we know that the color yellow stimulates the spirit, makes it feel alive, when our child is feeling a little out of sorts and we have that consciousness, we could know to put them in some yellow that day to feel sunny and warm, right? If they're structured in what they have to wear and we don't have the freedom to allow them to wear the colors that are feeling good to their spirit and soul that morning, or the shoes that feel good on their being, so that they're in the right frame of mind to receive the content and the information that they're going out to receive, so that they can be all that they can be in this universe, then are we really positioning them for success right from the start, right?
Exactly.
So, yes, it strips individuality. So it gets harder and harder to see who I am in this sea of conformity. And the moment that you step out and you want to put a piercing or a tattoo or something that you can put on your body, just to say, this is who I am, because I have to wear all these clothes that tell me this is who I am, and this doesn't feel at all of who I am. So I'm going to find another way to brand myself and declare that. So we see this rampantly amongst young kids today, and I always invite, when I encounter this, with curiosity, I just say, oh, this is so exciting. Can you tell me about the inspiration behind this brand that you put on yourself? And it's so fun to get into the different conversations of the intentions behind the expressions of self.
Absolutely, and I thought very deeply about this concept of who am I, and when we ask that question out to the world, or even to ourselves in our inner experience, right? Who am I? A lot of times we're kind of trained, right, to think about who am I? Okay, so I'm a nurse. I'm an energy healer. I'm a person who's supporting Center for Conscious Kids Grow so people can connect with each other. I'm also a podcast, right? I'm a podcaster here in this moment. So those are all the roles that I take. And I've accidentally, when I woke up, right, I labeled myself these labels. And so they're good, right? And they have roles and they have ideas and they have opportunities. And then they also have like a job description too, so to speak. I do different roles and tasks, right? Like being a mom and being a wife or being a girl or being a 55-year-old woman. All of those things, what do those mean? And how do they play out in our everyday experience? And then I thought more deeply about it and I said, the opportunity is do I look at who outside of me defines me, or do I look inside of me to determine what really does define me and what roles would I like to play today? What roles would I like to do to interact with others around me? Right, so making that internal shift was really a huge opportunity for me to see what was available for me.
I love that. And when you have that awareness, Ashley, to ask yourself that question, how does it impact the outcome of your experience that you're in when you gain that awareness?
Oh my gosh.
Of the role that you're in.
That's such a beautiful question, right? I mean, really, how does it affect the outcome? Well, for me, it was huge because I actually then got to know that I got to choose on what I wanted to be or how I wanted to be perceived and how I wanted to fulfill those job descriptions and those roles versus someone else telling me how it had to be and what it had to look like and what it needs to do to be perfect, right, or to be the best. And what I recognized is that my best in each and every moment is that personal choice of who I'm choosing to be in that I am state. And it was so amazing and so empowering and so peaceful and joyful to know that I had those choices inside of me versus looking in the outside world who defines me or demands of me or makes me think that I have to be a certain way in order to fulfill that role.
Right. This is so beautiful, and these are segments all into themselves. Thank goodness for the platforms such as Awake TV that you're already a part of right now with your quantum energy healing program, and the one that will be emerging for me in the divine timing, for these continued heartversations that we can continually refer back to these concepts and thoughts, because these are very deep occurrences right now in our culture as we are shifting out of the structures that have been the systems of fear and sheeperation to create that uniformity, with the transformation and the evolution of humanity stepping into its greatness and allowing that divine spark to start to amplify and start to see it more with all of the inspiration that's already being out in place. You see, inspiration triggers more inspiration. So there's so many artists and actors and, well, I say actors, I mean people in action. When I say that, I don't mean someone playing a silly role on a screen. We're all actors and beings in our own film, on our own stage, being who we naturally are. And I have this funny little reference in this utopic universe that's a cartoon world emerging to celebrate and align and line up right against humanity being their greatness. And it's so fun. We're all behaving ourselves. You know that little song, This Little Light of Mine? I'm okay being zany. I'm okay with it. You can look at me. I'm having fun. It's fun to grow, expand, and being myself as a visionary artist. I'm celebrating inside of this utopic community, culture, and entertainment platform. Did you hear me say entertainment? Because that's what this is.
Yes.
It's not entertainment. We are entertaining ourselves and aligning ourselves and behaving ourselves like bees, coming together in harmony to create that sweet golden elixir, the honey, that's the sweet spot of each of us living our golden divine life. So I'm a visionary artist that had this vision placed on my heart 4.5 years ago. Not in the way that I just described it to you. No way. Couldn't see that. I didn't know that. I saw something very big that really, quite honestly, scared me to death. And that's so valid with the genius that dwells in each of us. Sometimes when we get that glimpse of ourselves, we think, oh no, not me. I'm not that. You have the wrong I am. I'm this. I'm small.
Exactly.
I came to I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're perfect. Exactly. I was in the flow of what you were saying, and I so agree. A lot of times we're looked at when we're role defined by what's outside of us and other people and other structures or systems. And when we're defined by that, like being a student in a class, right? So it's very hard to stand out and to be your true nature, or 30 other kids in the classroom being their true natures, and because we're all students. And so in that idea, yes, we're all fitting in that context of learning something new, learning something we haven't learned before. But in each and every aspect, each and every student learns differently, they receive differently,
Yes.
they speak differently, they interact with each other differently. And how can we learn to appreciate those differences, those opportunities, those gifts of that magic that comes from our hearts to express in our everyday experiences? And really expressing our differences, our amazingments, right? Our crazy, zany
Yes.
selves. And what does that mean?
There are, and Ashley, there are schools that are already precursors. They're already in place. You know, this has been an evolution of through the conscious awareness that this is existing. There are schools and resources emerging. There's a cost associated with them right now, so they're not available to the masses, but they are emerging, and so they're refining themselves right now to get what is working. Some of what I'm referencing would be the Waldorf schools or the Montessori schools. There are several more that are emerging, so I don't want to name them all. I just want to invite that they're there, and they're refining themselves and creating structures that are going to be able to be duplicatable, and again bring out more diversity inside of systems. See, systems are really great. I know that from having had triplets. It's critical for the success of a well, let's take just the family unit, because the family unit can then be amplified out to a neighborhood, a community, a city, a state. My neighborhood, I live in a universe right now that I'm in a small neighborhood called Earth, right? That's how big my consciousness is of where I live and dwell. So if we take the family unit and we think to ourselves, if I made my children all eat carrots, and 2 of the 3 didn't like carrots, but we were just making them eat carrots, their interest in eating would be greatly diminished by the fact that they weren't enjoying what was being presented because it wasn't in alignment with what they wanted to do. The same way, if I have a child who's really resistant and does not want to draw because I love to draw, you know, maybe it's an opportunity for a conversation to say, what is it that you don't like about the drawing? Because let's set some really clear expectations about your I am. So you're already all that you are right now, and you've already remembered all of the parts that you say that you are, but you're an infinite possibility. And we likely will not even uncover all of your potentials in this lifetime. But with each interaction and experience, we can get some clarity with being present to how you're feeling when you're being in a situation. When I'm trying something new, a couple questions I ask myself is, how does this feel on a high level? By high level, I mean, I'm not going to be good at something. I'm setting an expectation when I'm beginning something and creating safe space for our children also to try new things with, you might be some prodigy. That potential exists, so don't let me limit you. But recognize that when you begin something new, you're in the beginning. You're in the beginning of becoming that part of your I am. And to become a master of it, that often requires a lot of experience, because it's through the experience that we get to know. Everything else is subjective.
Exactly.
Through the experience, we go into the objective. And the word object is a material matter word that comes out through that process. This is the same way you have matter and objects come out through one's active imagination. Through inspired action, you're calling forward through your I am presence and filter the gifts that want to emerge through you. So I am a God-given artist. I think creatively. I communicate in a very clever manner. I'm a linguist. I love to travel. So I have consciousness of many cultures that all create this beautiful opportunity for me to step into this space and say, I am prepared, because I can see it, to create this unifying field to bring in all the master HeARTists that have been seeing the codes and the feelings of love and kindness on their heart. And they've been creating their brand. If it's music, if it's tools that help you see more and more of who you are, like our very dear friend Afka Tikens out of, she's Dutch, and she's created tools that you and I play with, and we delight in them. And they show us more of who we are. And our very dear friend Paul Leftenegger, who was the link between us, because he created the tools that were on his heart after 2011 and followed through with the vision that he could hear, because he was the genius to bring in those frequencies, he put them out on tools that you and I could pick up. And when we heard those frequencies, we knew they were parts of what we're doing. You were utilizing them to come into the space to help and assist babies have soothing music that allowed their beingness to get into their heart resonance and coherence. I used the music to allow myself, as I was painting the visions of utopia, to get into heart coherence, to see the pictures more clearly. I don't understand how it works, but there's codes embedded in music and frequency. I didn't know that. I didn't. I just knew that sometimes some music would make me feel angry, and some music would make me feel happy, and some music would make me feel excited or soothed. So what is that? It's chemistry. It's the alchemy. And it's at the cellular level. So what I'm now seeing is that I'm a magnet. I'm a cosmic connector. I've said that for many years about myself. I've been in an international corporate environment where I've put people together to do big, big business. Multi-million dollars of contracts annually secured through my ability and acumen and propensity for business to be able to do that. I'm playing a bigger game right now in planning the future for being able to align the master HeARTists in the universe and be the magnet through my beingness and my vibration and the vision that I'm seeing and holding to send out energetically through my art the trigger codes that allow the master artists to see themselves as part and a piece of this puzzle called utopia, where we all come together in a wonderful manner, celebrating who we each are. It goes back to what you said at the beginning of this heartversation. As we're each able to see our differences, we honor and celebrate that they're on purpose. It's Spirit's purpose to have us different. We're co-creating the human experience as creators and bringing them through together. And you're creating this platform of us being able to share this message out and broadcast it, right?
Right.
I've created art that is sitting behind me that's people going, what are those eyeballs? Glad you asked. It's there. If you're seeing it and just paying attention, just be with it. I don't have the answers for you about what they're there for you, perhaps. I have my own version of what I feel and think and see and say it is. But who am I to limit your potential with it? I'm just a creator. I've had my experience, and I continue to have my experiences with my heart. And that's what we're all doing. As we're the creators, we're not doing it in the first place to sell something. I'm never creating art. I don't sell any of my original art because it's to support the cellular level. I'm in a different kind of cells, not sales. Now, there are sales associated with this, but I don't actively have to do that. It just happens. People connect with these pieces that are tools to support them, and they want to have them in their spaces and places. So that happens. And I'm happy that that happens because it brings me joy that the things that brought me joy are painting a smile on your face.
Right.
And supporting your wellness and elevating you.
Well, I completely agree. You know, I started today and I said, oh, what will I wear? Like, just like you shared about the younger child wanting to wear yellow in a uniform school, right? And so I decided to wear, I was going to wear a blank slate. So I'm wearing gray and a gray or blackish shirt to really amplify the opportunity to go from who I feel I am, or answering the question of who I am, or who am I, right? Who am I? And I think I spent the younger parts of my years looking outside of myself, determining that how everybody thought and think or thought or emoted about who I am was my definition of who I am. And I recognized that I had laid in layers all over me about how people projected or thought or shared, positively or negatively, shared about how they thought about me, or what they think I am, or what I am doing, or who I am. And what I decided to do today was really proclaim out loud, out in front of everyone, to come in as a blank slate, releasing all of those ideas of what I thought people outside of me think of me, and think of who I am and what I am and what determines that. A college degree, accomplishments, successes, or non-successes. I decided that I would bring in some color, just like you have in your background. And I've got this green, beautiful scarf. I'm going to learn how, with all the equipment, to put on and wear this green scarf because I love this color. It's like a lime green. And it represents...
It's from the heart, Ashley.
Right. It's from the heart. I've decided I'm going to come from the heart. And my heart and I get to decide who I am, how I am. And inside of that, I really awaken to the realization that when I decide who I am, then I create the listening for everyone else. And then if I did a poor job and have an icky relationship with someone, or an icky conversation, right? Not a heart-versation, but an icky versation. When I have one of those, then I get to recognize and I get to take personal responsibility for making that good, or making that bad, or making it sideways, or positive, or successful. I get to proclaim that. I get to have that personal responsibility. So then, therefore, the healing inside of that relationship can come back to the onus of me. And the onus of me really helps me step back into that I am power. I get to step back into my own personal power and really walk into that world of utopia, really feeling nurtured and loved for myself, right, in that green color.
Yes. Yes.
And really open to the idea that who I am is a product of what I choose to create each and every moment. And if I've created a faux pas, or a problem, or a conflict, then I get to do my part in helping to correct that, come together. Maybe I didn't show enough appreciation for someone else. Maybe I judged or projected onto somebody else, and I forgot, right? And so, or maybe I projected something very positive and elevated the relationship, and how beautiful is that?
So beautiful. You know, I have so many things as I hear you, the way that my beautiful brain, my genius brain works. I heard so many things that are rich, and I always have my little journal here. I was making notes. You may have seen my eyes glancing down. It wasn't that you didn't have my attention. You had my attention so much that my higher self was talking to me and giving me feedback on things that are a part of utopia. You and I are so familiar with utopia. What is it? You know, a listener might say, utopia has no limits. But let me clearly, just for this conversation, what I feel you were referencing is the frame of mind, and how we move into the space of the love over the fear is when you're in utopia, leaving Massville where the fear resonates, creating the listening, as you said, to create the safe space for us to become in the I aming. We're not going to be awesome and masters on something that we're beginning. And you've done this for me recently in so many ways, as I'm having to stretch outside of the things that I've already done. You know, just because I've mastered aspects of what we're doing, my particular role, and this is not a martyr, I'm in no way, I'm humbly saying I'm grateful for the pleasure of this front row seat to see this magical universe develop piece by piece and pulling it together. But it's challenging for me to master all these different aspects of what's required when you're creating the universe. And I'm co-creating the universe with other masters. And so, somebody who's mastered themselves to a degree also can have a high expectation for what things look like. You can't just leave somebody that is a master of self to follow you, because they've already mastered mischief, and they're looking to climb mountains, not be driven into ditches, right? Metaphorically, with your left, right, left, right. I will follow people, you will follow people, but a couple little checkers. In Utopia, we play games, and we play checkers. You check a few things like, who are you? What's your intention? What's your vision? Where are you going? Who are you aligned with? Is love in your heart? I mean, all of these things are checkers. And if you don't get the check marks, it's not from a judgment place. It's from clarity place of, I know who I am. I know who I'm serving. I know how I'm serving. I know the long-term vision. So I have 86,400 nows each day. That's how intentional I am. I know who I am. Who are you? How are you utilizing your 86,400 nows a day? And where are they serving? We're difficult for people that are not in alignment with where we see us growing and going to manage, because we're clear about where we're going and growing. Don't misinterpret me either. There's a real fine line in not becoming rigid and shut off, because things can be so much bigger and better than you ever realized. There's some sound music. Is that saying that we're coming to a close? Or is that a train?
There's a train going by.
So that might be Will I Am, the expression train of thought and feeling, just acknowledging for us right now that what I'm saying is valid, and that we need to create safe space for ourselves when we're in our feelings and our emotions, to pause and pump the brakes, and don't be on a freight train that's frightful. You're on an express on train, an express train of your expression and your emotion, that when you're in motion, your energy and your point of attraction in your physical body is your emotion. So you want to check the brakes and make certain that you're in alignment with where you want to be going and growing, because it might be time to take a time out and sit for a second and reflect. Because when you're in an aggressive state that is aligned with fear, you're getting there faster, and the things are going to be attracting to you faster that are in that vibration, that are surrounding you. So the way that I work is I put my hand on my heart and I allow what wants to be seen emerge. I have an emerge and see when I recognize that I am having a lot of things coming at me that I don't want. I'm like, check myself. My emotional balance is out of alignment because I'm getting more and more of it. I'm so grateful that I recognize through the practice and the work that I've been on for 8.5 years through self-awareness that this is my state of being, and it's out of alignment with what I'm committed to. So in that moment, gratitude shifts me and becomes my point of attraction, and I bounce, right?
Right.
These are the things that we're up to right now, Ashley. These are the tools and the things that we're bringing about through your quantum energy healing, through and all the other platforms, Center for Conscious Kids, the Children's Meditation. You have so many beautiful outlets that you're doing and supporting and being. I'm matching you with that inspiration and bringing my art as the freedom flame that is my AM present inside of my flame. It's the capital AM inside of the fire. Inside of that flame, I'm the paintbrush, right? I've always known that I was a painter and a drawer. I didn't know I was a writer. Oh my gosh, I'm a writer. It just hadn't emerged yet. But when I had a lot that I was painting about, it needed a little bit of a heart pulsation around it, so I started writing about it. And as I started writing about it, there was a lot more that was writing back to me and talking to me, and I started seeing more and more. So now, I'd say I'm a writer, and I have really big pencils now because I have a lot of really big things to communicate. And these are tools of massive creation. You know, your voice might be the tool of massive creation, whether you are a speaker that has a message of inspiration because you've lived a journey of intention and purpose, and now people want to emerge and share that so
Well,
that they
speaking
can.
of emergence, you shared something that was so amazing in my mind and thought as well. As you said, you choosing to sit in the front row seat of your universe, and to see and experience that which we all create. And I really reminded myself, I think when I was younger, I always used to like to sit in the back. And I used to like to watch and wonder what people are experiencing and thinking and doing and emoting and being. And I used to like to watch. And I think when I did suffer from an area of fearing what people would think of me. So I didn't want to sit in the front. I didn't want to be the doing and the acting and the being, because I was fearful of what people would think or know about me or feel about me or judge me or whatever it is, right? And I think I always sat in the back because then no one could look at me and see where I was. So really making that commitment to, for me, coming forward and sitting in the front seat and participating in the universe called our own, individuated lives, and then bringing that collectively to the whole environment is really an inspiring way of creating heart conversations with everybody every day in our world. And I thank you for that illustration, right, of where do you prefer to sit in the classroom, in the space of learning, maybe even in a movie theater. Where do you like to sit and position yourself inside the community that you're in? And what are you doing there? Are you playing? Are you observing? Are you listening?
Yeah.
Are you speaking? And in that place, wherever that space is, whether it's in the back of the room or the front seat, really every space counts, right? And every space is important. And it's so valuable for everyone to become present with their feelings, their thoughts, and to understand where they are positioned, where they have positioned themselves is perfectly wonderful and okay in that moment, that they're choosing to create that, right?
Beautiful.
And it starts to I define who I am, and I interact with those around me that can share with me who they may feel I am or who they believe I am. And that brings up an opportunity for a heart conversation to actually share if there are differences between what I believe I am and maybe what others believe I am, so that we can come into that level of coherence.
So valid. And Ashley, it's so exciting as you speak to realize just in this year, this last year of 2019, how many beings you and I have personally met and connected with that are facilitating and bringing forward these beings and heart conversations, like Paul Lowe of Speaking from the Heart, and Andrea Pennington with the different books that she is creating and co-creating with people who have powerful messages to bring about radical evolution in the way that we're thinking and feeling about our experiences. There's so many. Dr. Joe Delaney in England. He has got a beautiful platform. I Am Wellness. Todd Medina of Soulology Studios. You're right. There's so many beings that are now starting to unify and create with their own filters and their own platforms. They've got their own utopia. Utopia I was defining as just that choice of choosing to see it from love or fear,
Right.
And Don Miguel Ruiz, I just recently picked up this book. I'm a big reader, but I don't read books by like the whole book. I don't read books that way. I buy books that my spirit tells me to get the book. Maybe I don't buy it. Maybe I pick it up and look. But I do buy things because what I'm doing is I'm honoring the creator, because that allows them to now make this a continued lifestyle in this physical world, because we haven't quite yet figured or made the full transition out fully of money is still part of our system.
Right.
So I honor the artists and things that contribute. So I bought this book, and Don Miguel Ruiz, he has written several books. Four Agreements was where I was introduced to him. But I have never heard love described this way, and it struck me like, whoa. He defines love as the aspect of energy that manifests as the totality of all vibrations, moving matter and recording information into matter, Matter perceives and reflects it, and reacts with the complete range of emotions. Wow.
So true. That is a lovely book by him.
It's deep.
Yes.
It's deep. And I'm playing with that now. I'm playing with that being my definition of love right now while I'm just playing, because in the moment that I hear something, I've gotten very good at being good at, I don't have to make a commitment to whether or not I believe it in the moment that I hear it. I've gotten really good at saying, interesting, universe, conspire with me and let's test this. Right. I'm on a playground and I play a lot of games with life. Afka Tikins has the same and similar idea and concept where she says life is a game, let's play it. Well, she's Mrs. Tikins inside of the first grade classroom. Of course she has that same similar classroom concept already. I don't have to teach it. She's being it because she is the character that embodies this, which will be bringing about all these fun games in K8 the HeARTist's classroom inside of these storylines that are emerging, that are euphoric adventures. That's all unfolding as all the beings are coming into awareness and aligning and uniting with me, K8 the HeARTist, utilizing my art and my heart to create the universe that I want to feel and see. Love,
and everyone, yes, and everyone that walks forward inside their own space of love describes and creates who I am, right?
Yes.
Who I am is this today, is that tomorrow.
You're already,
right?
You're already you. You're already you. You're just remembering all your parts. And I really encourage people to get the courage to begin recognizing and understanding that you are living your dream life now. You may not feel like it is, but it is your dream life. I mean, life is but a dream. We were told that when we were children. Row, row, row your boat. Life is but a dream. I am creating this universe while still maintaining a corporate job, responsibilities to 3 active children that are teenagers involved in sports and activities and performing arts. We don't wait to create our dream life. We are living our dream life. If you're waiting, you're delaying. And by moving and doing the one step that you can see, one piece at a time, in alignment with that which brings you joy and peace, it all gets pieced together.
It sure does.
So utopia could never have come together if I waited until my children were grown, until I had enough money that my corporate job would never generate for the millionaires of money that I need. See, we've dubbed and I mean, nothing is owned in the universe. It's just borrowed, right? But we're millionaires. We don't limit our potential to millions. Why? Because we're driven by our will. Right. And there's no limit to your will. I am. I am all that I am. And so when I know that I need more money because I'm serving more people, and money I'm just using energetically as a form because people are familiar with it, but it doesn't have to mean dollars or whatever different denomination of money because we're global, right? That's just paper. That's funny money. But what we are is we're currency. You see, we are current and we are frequency. And we are the energy that is monetizing itself. That's high concepts that I'm starting to play and feel into. But this is the new way of being in the universe, is recognizing your value and seeing your worth through your I am presence, and then contributing that piece and exchanging it for the things you want and need, for the things that you are and be.
Wow. Well, I just have to say this is the most amazing podcast ever. It is just amazing. Thank you so much.
Too.
And I can say, really, like, ending on the note that everyone just take a moment who's listening to this podcast, live and pre-recorded, take in a deep moment and just take a breath of your value. Feel that value. There you go. Just take a moment, feel that value, and know that you create who you are every day by living your true nature, which is love expressed.
Yes.
Thank you, Kate, for joining us today. My gosh, who I am. Did you ever think it could go to these depths? Who I am is one amazing divine being, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you amazing divine beings. Thank you, Kate, for sharing with us.
I am as well.
I am. I so appreciate you, Kate, the HeARTist. This was a beautiful heartversation.
I'm so grateful.
I love you. I love you.
Utopia.
See you in Utopia. Woohoo. Beautiful job.
Thank you all for listening to this podcast. We are so grateful for you tuning in and experiencing the innovations and opportunities we all can incorporate into our daily lives.
And it brought up many
Connect
episodes
with us at
for you to
Center
share.
for Conscious
So thank you so
Kids.com.
much. It was a
To sign
beautiful.
up
It
for
was
the
a beautiful
latest news
podcast.
that showcases these revolutionary services and products. Our global website provides families with an online conduit for enrichment and transformation in all our lives. Please share with other kids and families who would enjoy these advancements in living consciously. I'm Ashley Lee, and I thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, I'm gonna